This is SportsCenter right now. I'm Victoria Arlen. Despite the game starting out not too pretty, Notre Dame opened its 2019 season with an 18-point win over Louisville. Notre Dame's defense forced 5 fumbles last night, the first time they forced that many fumbles since 2016. They recovered 3 of those for just the second time since Brian Kelly took over in 2010. Irish QB Ian Book finished with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown for only the 3rd time in his career. However, his total QBR of 77.4 ranked 27th among FBS quarterbacks after week 1. And Notre Dame running back Tony Jones Jr. ran for more than 100 yards for the second time in his career. His 7.3 yards per rush was his best among games in which he has had at least 10 rushing attempts. Notre Dame has a bye this week and then hosts New Mexico State. However, they should not look ahead to their matchup in Athens when they play the number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, where FPI gives the Irish just a 27% chance to win. Now let's toss it back to First Take.
Joining us now is the mouth of the South and college football expert, Paul Finebaum. Thank you for being here.
It's great to be here.
Great to see you, Paul.
Is somebody missing?
Oh, you filled that seat just fine.
Thank you.
Let's get to some college football talk. The first full weekend of the season is in the books, so let's play a little take it or leave it. I'll bring up some big storylines, and you guys will tell me if you're buying or selling. All right, first, Louisville kept it close with Notre Dame in the first half before the Irish pulled away in the second half. And Paul, you had some strong comments about Notre Dame on your show, on the show yesterday. So take it or leave it. The Irish are not a contender for the playoff.
I don't think they are. I mean, they're a good football team. They are not going to get in the playoffs, and you saw the reason a minute ago. They have to go to Georgia. They're not winning in Athens, Georgia. Georgia beat them 2 years ago late in the fourth quarter. And if that wasn't bad enough, they have to go to Michigan. Yeah, I know Notre Dame fans think they had the superiority deal against Michigan. Not this time, not in Ann Arbor, and not at the Big House. They play SC, Stanford. Their schedule is going to catch up with them.
I don't look at that as such a, listen, I defer to the college football expert,
but
I think they'll be a contender. Like, they're ranked 9th, right? So you got 3 spots, everyone knows the top 3. After that, that would leave, are they one of the 6 other teams that might do it? I look at their schedule, I don't see, other than at Georgia, which they should lose, I don't see any other games where I go, they are going to lose that game. If they get a little lucky, if the ball bounces their way, if they have that kind of season, they could end this season with 1 loss. I could see it. And then they're a playoff contender at least.
Here's the problem, Max, and you make a moderately eloquent point.
I like your style, Paul.
This is a run-of-the-mill top football schedule.
They're a good program. I think they could easily be 10-2. But what if they were 11-1? They do not play a conference game. Why? Because Notre Dame's too good to be in the ACC in football. Now, they're in the ACC in everything else, and they get the money, and they get all the glory, but they're superior because they have their own league, network. They are Notre Dame. And in my opinion, and I hope the opinion of the college football playoff, if they lose one game, forget about them. They got in last year because they were undefeated, but they didn't have to do what Georgia and other teams did. They didn't have to play Alabama in a conference tournament. So,
what was your controversial statement?
Well, I said here yesterday on First Take, you were listening, that they should be disqualified. I was kidding. Someone thought
talking
it was
about the
serious.
beating they took last year.
But you know what? I may change it to being serious after all this because it irks me that they can get in without having
Clemson beat the brakes off everyone.
And by the way, if they were in the ACC, they would have played Clemson last year, and they did play Clemson, and they lost by 27 points.
Excuse me, but Alabama lost by 28 points.
We're not talking about Alabama.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next topic, all right? So, Bo Nix and Auburn come from behind to stun Justin Herbert and Oregon on Saturday night. Take it or leave it. Justin Herbert is being overrated.
I think some of this is overkill. Justin Herbert didn't lose that game. His coach lost that game. Mario Cristobal is a really good coach. Max, remember last year? He completely choked away the Stanford game that they had won. He couldn't manage the clock, and he couldn't manage it against Auburn. They should have put Auburn away, but he got very conservative on 3rd down. On 4th down, he tries to run against the best defensive line in the country. Justin Herbert, I still think, is the same quarterback he was entering the game, but Oregon is gone as far as the college football playoff.
I agree with you about Justin Herbert. That's why I'm going to take it, his being overrated. And by the way, I hate saying this about a college kid, because yes, they sign up, as you know, you sign up for national attention and people will be commenting on you. But like, it's a bit much, a student athlete, after all, to say overrated, underrated. I never feel right about it. And yet, Justin Herbert was by some going to be the presumptive #1 overall pick last year. And he's back at school for another year because that did not come close to happening. And so far, he's very talented. You can see it. He has the kind of prototypical stuff you need nowadays. But if he's the same guy as he was last year, Paul, then you got to take him being a little overrated.
I don't think so, but he just doesn't have a lot of compliments around him. If you put Justin Herbert as a quarterback at Alabama with 4 bona fide All-American potentials at wide receiver, I think he would have looked a lot better. One of his I'm not making excuses for Oregon. I really don't care if Oregon wins a game or loses a game. I mean, where is Oregon anyway? But the point is that
got those uniforms, everything started turning around.
Great. Okay, go Nike. But I still think he's a very good quarterback, and I think we'll be talking about him in April at the draft.
All right, let's talk about Alabama right now. Okay, so Tua, he had a big game in Bama, but the win was against Duke. So take it or leave it. Tua needs Bama more than Bama needs Tua?
I think Tua does need Bama. I mean, Bama was there long before Tua had heard of the University of Alabama. And again, if Tua had not done what he had done, Jalen Hurts would still be the quarterback at Alabama, and he's doing quite nice, thank you. So Tua is phenomenal. He may be the #1 player in the country. He may not be. He may be the #1 draft choice, but Bama is going to be okay with or without Tua.
Now, a win against mighty Duke football, who produced Daniel Jones, by the way. When everyone else was saying the Giants shouldn't take him, I alone said, good pick. Or maybe it was the opposite. I forgot exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Let's not keep score. The point is, actually, in this case, Alabama needs him more. And I'll tell you why, Paul. I think, especially now that the linebacker's gone, especially the licking they took in the national title game last year from Clemson, especially the way I really think this year it will determine who is the dynasty in college football, who is the #1 power. Not last year. That wasn't enough to pass Alabama, everything that Saban and Alabama have done. But what Dabo Swinney and Clemson are doing right now, and Trevor Lawrence, I know he didn't look good week 1, although tackle in the open field, a little Roethlisbergerian. Anyway, the point is they need Tua to be special in Alabama. Paul, to overcome Clemson, they need Tua to show that stuff that he showed, throughout his college career so far. Whoa, that dude's special. He's a winner. He makes the big play. If he's not that guy, I don't think Alabama can beat Clemson.
Well, the one thing they don't need, Max, is Tua to get hurt. Because if Tua, heaven forbid, gets knocked out of the lineup and can't play, then Alabama has no answer. They do not. His brother is the third-string quarterback. Mac Jones, I'm sure you have him on your Heisman list. He's the #2. So that is the most critical part for Alabama. But they have Jerry Jeudy, may be the best player on Alabama's team. He is so good at wide receiver, and there are 2 or 3 other wide receivers. They have good running backs. The defense is another issue. Losing Dylan Moses, when we talked about it last week as the story was breaking, you couldn't see that against Duke, but you will see it against Georgia, maybe Texas A&M, and ultimately against Clemson.
All right, Paul Finebaum, we appreciate your time here today and always your college football insights. And I love your just calm and poised demeanor. It's a different kind of voice to the show. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I could say something else about the other voices on the show.
Those voices are valid, too.
Somehow Paul gets people more riled up than anybody.
Sometimes it's the quiet voice that's the loudest. All right, thank you so much for joining us. And Max, guess what?
What's that?
We've got some breaking news regarding Ezekiel Elliott, and we will get to it right after the break.